This is my breakout moment.
Better days are
Before me,
no more chains, I'm finally free.
stepping into victory. We're breaking out, we're breaking through.
This is our
Finest hour.
breaking out of depression.
Listen to and viewed worldwide.
On Living by the Word with Andy Charles and Gabriella Woods.
Every Tuesday at 6:30.
Breaking out.
Breaking through. I am free.
Welcome all to our next episode of Breaking Out of Depression. My name is Gabriella Woods, and tonight I am not going to be your co-host. I am going to be your host because our brother Andy Charles is not here with us tonight, unfortunately, but all is well. He's just taking a little sabbatical. So as he's on that break, let us just cover him with our prayers, his family, keep him all in prayer, and we would see him another time. Yes. So today we really have a special episode for you. We have a special guest, and she's already here, and her name is Shan Wright. So we will be introducing her shortly. But before we start, let me just go to God in prayer. Heavenly Father God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for this episode that you have graced us with even right now. I pray even right now that those who are listening right now, God, whether it be on the live stream, whether they are in their homes, in their cars, wherever they might be, or even when they may listen to this recording afterwards, God, I pray that you would cover them. I pray, God, as this episode, God, will shine light on this topic, God, of burnout. I pray even right now, God, that you would touch each and every life. Those who are struggling, those who really need this moment, God, to find that answer, that solution, that encouragement, that enlightenment that they may need. I pray, God, that this episode would bring that for them. I pray, God, that you would cover Andy and his family, cover Dex and his family, cover Shan and her family, cover myself even right now, God. I pray, Jesus, God, that you would have your divine way in this episode, and we just thank you for what you're going to do. In your holy and precious name I pray. Amen. All right. So before we bring on Shannon, let us just talk about our season's theme, which is building stronger families through communities. And that scripture is taken from Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. That says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up." That's our theme throughout this entire season of breaking out of depression for this year. So before we go, we just want to kind of tone down. Gracie's live with us. Thank you, Gracie, always here present supporting us. Good night, good night, good night. Yes. So before we get into the real topic tonight, we just want to just slow down, take a little breather, because I know today might have been so hectic for a lot of you all. Busy day, maybe it was really difficult, maybe you just need this USA moment to just breathe. This is the only moment that you have. So for our breakout moment, I just want you, as I give you these instructions, I want you not to take it lightly. Don't take it simple. This is something that you need to reinforce into your life. So as I ask you to breathe in, I want you to declare whatever you have for your life. Declare all the positive things that you want over your life. Yes, the negatives exist, but if we magnitude that, then it becomes part of our reality. So as you breathe in all the positives that you want for your life, and as you exhale, I want you to just release it. Release all the negative, all the things that you don't want, just release them. So we're going to take a deep breath in at the count of 3, 2, 3. Breathe it all in, and I want you to hold, and then breathe out. 2, 3. You're going to try that one more time. You're going to breathe in all the positives. 2, 3. And we're going to breathe out. 2, 3. And this statement that you're going to declare, I want you to not just say it, I want you to believe it. I am breaking out now. Just say it one more time. I am breaking out now. Yeah? And this is something that you're going to continuously repeat over your life. Whatever you're struggling with, you need clarity, you're going through anxiety, burnout, frustration, stress. You are breaking out from that. Yes? Continue to speak it over your life. So, without further ado, let us welcome our guest. I'm going to read a little bio first before we welcome her in, and then we would have our interview. So excited to have her with us tonight. So, Shan Wright is a daughter of the king, wife, mother to four, registered nurse, holistic wellness coach, podcaster, and speaker. For most of her life, she felt anxious and overwhelmed and struggled with perfectionism and control. She remembers what it felt like to be wanting more, yet feeling like she wasn't enough at the same time. She wanted to live a well life, but completely overwhelmed and anxious and about to lose it with, with her very blessed, full life. After postpartum anxiety, enough was enough, and she tracked her way to the whole body wellness and so much peace. Through courageous, vulnerable chats, reprogramming of her brain, facing the overwhelm head on, and lots of prayers, she discovered how to pursue peace and wellness with Jesus. As a holistic wellness advocate, she geeked out how our bodies are fairly and wonderfully made and getting to the root cause of our stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. We get so stressed out, tired out, mummed out that we caring for ourselves on the back burner. We care for all those around us with excellence and don't have anything left in the tank to take care of us. Be encouraged by her personal testimony tonight about anxiety as a mom to four and many other courageous women who pursued their wellness despite challenges. So, without further ado, let us welcome our special guest tonight, Shan Wright.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Super
Yeah,
excited.
we are so happy to have you tonight with us. So, Shan, tell us a little bit about yourself. You just went through all the titles, the accolades, everything that you have experienced. But tell us, who is Shannon at the core?
Yes. Okay. Well, that's a long answer.
Yeah,
um, so I gotta take you back because this is really why I talk about what I do. It comes from my identity. It comes from who I am.
yes.
And I grew up in a larger family, one of five, and it was pretty chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to let's fly under the radar. Let's be the good one. Let's be the perfect child, if you will. Let me just strive and achieve and perform so that my parents don't have to worry about me. I can get straight A's and be a good student, be a good athlete, and
Yeah.
get to where I want to go. And so this perfectionism really was started in my life very little. And
Mm-hmm.
then it got me places. And I didn't even see it as a bad thing. I actually saw it as a very good thing.
Yeah.
And till I got to college and I went to nursing school and got my first C, and I was like, okay, this is different, and I don't know how to deal with this, you know, setback. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like there's something wrong with me, right? I got a C. Um, but I learned that college was a little bit harder, and then I got to senior year, and I'm like, I've got to pass. And so
Mm-hmm.
my advisor, I said, I think I have test anxiety. I think I'm struggling with taking the exams, and I need a little bit more time, maybe some private room.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, how about you talk to the counselor? So then I talked to the counselor, and she was like, well, let's go back to childhood. Has this ever always been the case? And
Yes.
she planted that seed that maybe anxiety has been riddled throughout my whole life, but I was still not seeing it. I was like, there's nothing wrong with this. The way that I've been living has been going pretty well. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I just need to pass nursing school. That's the only problem here.
Yes.
Well, of course I passed and I went on to be a nurse, and I realized that healthcare is stressful, and I was pretty overwhelmed pretty quickly. And one thing that my counselor taught me that I kind of brought with me was she looked at my school calendar and I had nothing on there that a typical college student would have. I had like study, library, study again. I had nothing
Yeah.
on there. And she's like, you need to schedule some fun. Like that's one homework assignment she gave me was schedule
Yes.
fun on my calendar, which is so funny that she had to say that. So as I'm in this, a couple years into nursing in the real world, I'm like, I'm just stressed out. I think I need some fun in my life. And so I
Yeah.
started travel nursing. I went into travel nursing and I thought that was going to solve all my problems. Like I just needed like a change of scenery. I just needed to meet new people. And, my problems just came with me. And so then eventually I met my husband, we got married, started having babies, and I just realized that the problems just kept compounding. And
Mm-hmm.
the feelings that I was having inside of how do I keep all of this together and all of this right and perfect was just getting harder. And
Yes.
first I just had to worry about my grades, and now I'm having to worry about actual human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is hard. And so it took me actually till my third child and really my third postpartum anxiety to learn that I was having anxiety and that it
Mm.
was real and it wasn't just taking tests. It actually was, you know, part of how I was operating. And so I had my, like what I call my burnout crisis, when I was listening to a podcast and someone was describing their postpartum anxiety. And I said, actually tears just came to my eyes and I thought,
Yeah.
wow, I feel seen. That feels like
Mm-hmm.
me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I started to cry and I was like, I went to prayer and I was like, I think I have postpartum anxiety and I think this is the same way I felt with the other two children before.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have this if someone would just help me. I feel like I'm doing everything myself. I feel like I'm trying to keep this house together and perfect and in good shape and cook perfect meals and have these children behave perfectly and have a business that's going great and have a perfect marriage. And I was like, if someone would just help me, then maybe I wouldn't have postpartum anxiety.
Right.
And then I remember this moment like it happened yesterday, and it was like, no, you don't need help. You're actually trying to be perfect, and you can't do that. And so I'm not going to ask anyone to do that. You actually just need to do these 4 things. And so he broke it down for me and really helped me on my burnout recovery plan, my burnout
Yes.
recovery treatment plan.
Yes.
And it was a holistic healing journey that I started. And that was about 8 years ago now. And through this healing journey, I have learned that my story was not for waste. My story actually is to help others to learn how to get out of burnout and really burnout prevention, not just recovery, but also prevention. Because if we can understand stress and um, how to operate in stressful situations and how to train our minds and train our brains and renew our minds and look at our hearts and protect our hearts, and we can do these things, we can actually prevent burnout and we can
Mm.
live in our purpose and our calling without burnout stealing it.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot you shared with us, and thank you for being so open and vulnerable with us. I just want to touch on that point as you spoke about the perfectionism. Now, as mothers, as women, this is something that we carry a lot, and we feel as the mothers of the home, we need to carry it all. We need to have it all perfect. We need to have it all done this particular way, or else we feel like we are failure. So someone listening now who is really struggling with this part of their life where they think they have to be perfect, and if they don't get it perfect, it's like, oh my god, I'm the worst mother. How do you encourage them, or what would you tell them would be the first step that they need to take in order to really get over that perfectionism that really brings all the anxiety and the stress and the burnout that follows with it?
Yeah, well, like I said, I thought it was actually I wore it like a badge of honor. Like I'm a perfectionist. Like much better than not being one, right?
Not,
Like I'm
yeah.
actually doing good things and it's working out for me. Even if I don't hit my mark, at least I'm doing really good. And so I saw it as a badge of honor. And it wasn't
Yes.
until I was this adult having human beings to care for that I realized what it was doing. And it started, honestly, it did start with motherhood. So I was a perfectionist operating as a nurse, and that was okay. It wasn't truly
Yeah.
okay, but it didn't, I didn't really see a lot of manifestations of how that was, hurting my life because you have to get things right in nursing. If you don't get things right, it could mean someone's life. And so you are constantly like looking at right and wrong and black and white and I can't fail here because if I fail, then this person is going to suffer. And so
Yeah.
then that mindset though of being perfect was transferring right when I walked in the door at home and I had
Mm.
this precious little baby and I'm like, why is she crying? Why isn't she perfect? Why? And how can I get her to stop crying? I needed to fix every problem and I needed to
Mm.
be providing the right things for her at all times. And if she was upset or had an issue, it was I need to fix it right away. There was like this urgency of getting it right and getting it right fast because something's wrong and nothing can be wrong. And so I saw it in motherhood. And really, what this is the root, the biggest common root of burnout, which is identity confusion. We don't know who we are. You actually asked me, who am I? And
Mm.
I have learned who I am in my identity, which was a perfectionist. Like I called myself that.
Mhm.
I wore that almost proudly. And then I realized saying that I'm a perfectionist is saying that I'm constantly striving to be perfect,
Yeah.
which is something I can never reach. And it's saying that the only perfect one can't help me because I'm doing it on my own. It's really rooted in pride, and pride comes before the fall. So
Yes.
if I am so prideful that I think that I can get everything perfect, then there's
Hmm.
no humility there and there's no room for God to help me in my weaknesses. I'm just basically saying like I got this.
Yeah.
And we do that as healthcare professionals and nurses because there's a lot on the line, there's high stakes. So we're like I got to do this. If it's going to be done right, it's going to be done by me. But then we use it in all other areas of our life and it's hurting us and it's causing us to go into this burnout instead of relying on the only perfect one to help us and to guide us and to lead us and direct us. And the one thing that really like punched me in the gut was when I learned that striving for perfection was a way of saying that the cross wasn't enough for me, that I
Wow.
had to earn my love
Mm.
and my grace. And like
Yeah.
grace wasn't a gift, it was I had to earn it. The cross wasn't enough. And
Mm.
that broke my heart. And I was like, well, I don't want to be that way, God. How do I stop that? And
Yes.
then, it was a journey of learning who my identity is. If it's not being a perfectionist, then what is it? And it's
Mm.
really listening to what he says. And the first thing he told me was, another thing that was put on me was that I was shy. And so that kept me quiet.
Yes.
And so the enemy has me now quiet and he has me performing and constantly achieving. And so I am busy. My mind is busy. My body is
Yes.
busy. I'm busy. And that's like one of the biggest tools of the enemy is to keep these high achieving women and men busy so that they can't do their real calling and purpose. And that
Wow.
keeps them in burnout. And so he was like, first off, you're not shy. And second off, you're not a perfectionist. So get rid of those first. Those are the lies I was believing and living under those identities. And really, you're bold and courageous. You have a voice, and I want you to speak it out in peace. And he called me a peaceful spokesperson. And he
Wow.
said, you are to speak peace over people and share the peace that you found through your story, but also that they can find through a holistic healing journey as well.
Whew. I'm gonna pause raise because oh my god, thank you, Jesus. I love this testimony of yours. And I'm hoping that the women that are listening and even the men, you can learn from this as well. That even in this what caught me just now and I want to just piggyback on it is when you said that, it's like saying that the cross wasn't enough. Listen, that is a form of humility that we all have to come to and learn. And I'm glad that you realize that your identity wasn't any things that you were doing, getting busy and everything. It was really seeking God in that moment to help you because you realize it's beyond me. This is something that I need assistance for.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So, what were the signs that you would have noticed, maybe in your body, in your mind, that would have hinted to you that yes, I am burnt out, I am stressed or tired? What were some of the signs that you would have noticed?
Oh, yeah. So there's definitely physical symptoms of burnout. So,
Yeah.
burnout, I love the Yerkes Dodson law because it's this stress curve that these two psychologists formed. And it basically is like at the bottom, you have no stress and
Yeah.
you're not doing anything in life. And then at the top is optimal stress. It's like this bell curve. And so at the top, you actually have good stress because your stress is like your protective safety mechanism in your body. And so when you need it for adrenaline and to get anything done in life, you need a little bit of stress. And so it's up there and you have good stress. And then literally right after it
Yes.
is fatigue and exhaustion and then
Mm-hmm.
anxiety and then anger and then burnout is down at the bottom. And so we have all these signs. There they
Yes.
are. Fatigue.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you get out of bed after 8 hours and you're like, gosh, I could sleep for another 8 hours. You have, and that's a early sign. So that's
Yeah.
telling you if you're so tired that sleep isn't fixing it, then let's do some other things besides sleep. We can rest in other ways to help our body get back to optimal level and not go down this curve towards burnout. So it's like I said, the prevention, like we have to recognize these signs. So the first would be a fatigue symptom, would be an
Yes.
exhaustion. It would be a weariness. It would be like getting out of bed and not having any energy or excitement for the day. Then that's another thing. Like if you're going to work and you are a nurse or health, I talk to a lot of nurses and healthcare professionals and or just you have this high prestigious job that has a lot of pressure on you and you're going into work and you have no excitement for that work, that's not your identity. So you can change that. That's just
Yes.
your job.
Yes.
God can use you in many different ways. That's not your identity. And so if you have no excitement for it, then that's not your calling. Step out of that and talk to God about what your identity is. And then He will lead you into another job that you can use your identity. Okay. So I just wanted to say that. But then you have exhaustion and then you have anger. And this anger is on a continuum. So it could just be snapping at your kids. It could be just irritation, like an underlying, like on edge. And I had that almost all the time. That was one of my major symptoms was
Yeah.
I wasn't angry. Okay, I take that back. I did. I did have a season of yelling. And I actually said I would never be a mom who yelled because I had a mom who yelled and I had a grandmother who yelled. And I said, it's going to stop with me. I'm not going to be a yeller. But I found myself yelling and I was like, this isn't who I want to be. Why is this happening? And
Yes.
so I realized later on, but that was straight from anxiety. That was straight from chronic stress and burnout. And that was a symptom. And then, but then when that comes up now, I'm able to recognize it faster because I'm able to say, oh, I feel myself getting really frustrated over the silliest things. This is not like the kids' socks are on the floor again. Like that really irritates me. I'm going to take my breath prayer. I love that you started with breath. I'm going to take my breath prayer. I'm going to count to 10. Like we have these silly tools, but they actually work.
Work. Yeah.
I'm going to renew my mind. I'm going to ask God to help me right now, keep my mouth and put the guard over my lips and not say things that are going to be hurtful. Like words are life and death. And
Yes.
so you have to be mindful of what's coming out of your mouth. And when things are coming out of your mouth that you don't want to say, I actually told my husband this. This was at a moment where I realized I said this was one of my major symptoms that I saw show up. And I said to him in a calm moment, I said, can you know that I love you? You're my husband. I never want to speak mean to you. I never want to yell at you. I never want to have this harsh, like demanding tone with you. Like that's not my heart. I always want to talk kind to you. I know how powerful words are. So if ever I do that, can you just stop me and ask me what I'm anxious about?
Yes.
Because I want to tell you right now, that's my anxiety coming out. That's how it shows up in my life the most. And I need you to stop me because
Yeah.
at that moment I'm in a spiral and I need some help getting out. So that was
Wow.
actually that's a really good thing to do is when you know your autopilot. So you know your things that you go to an autopilot in a moment of anxiety. It could be anger, it could be snapping, it could be avoidance. You just, you do that passive aggressive, like I'm not going to talk to you today. You
Yes.
do the other one is over functioning and under functioning. And this is one that we land in so often as high achievers and just people that want to get stuff done in the world. We go into over functioning
Yes.
and we just keep in this high functioning fatigue and we just keep going, striving. Well, if that didn't work and that made them upset, then I'm just going to go harder and do more. And then the other one's projecting. If we are like I said in my initial burnout moment when I said if everyone else would just help me, then I
Yeah.
wouldn't have this anxiety, that's projecting.
Yes. Yes.
So, those are the major symptoms or signs that you can see that when they come up, you're going down that curve and just stop yourself before you get there. Like notice these and be self-aware and just know that before you know it, you'll be in burnout if you keep just on the trajectory of what you're doing, your lifestyle, your habits, everything.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that class. It definitely was a class because I am learning so much as well, and I love the fact that you would have taken accountability for where you are. And a lot of persons it's really hard to just, you know, put down self and say, well, this is what I'm struggling with and this is where I'm at. This is my struggle. And you told your husband, here what this is what's happening with me. If you see me going through this, stop me. And I think that's a really strategic tool that a lot of us can use so that we can stay on track. So I really love that mechanism. It's really, really interesting. So I'm going to let you take a little break, right? So we're just going to drink some water, right? And just have a little break. And Dex, you can play the promo video for me, with me. Yeah.
Wondering what's next. Imagine getting counseling to help you heal, but then being left wondering what's next. Or mentorship that pushes you forward but doesn't help you to process what's holding you back. That is the gap. At Gabriella's Double Impact Solutions, we bridge that gap. We bring counseling and mentorship together in one powerful dual approach. Counseling gives you the tools to deal with life challenges. Mentorship gives you the guidance to grow beyond them. Together, they create a path to real, lasting transformation. For youths, that means discovering identity, building resilience, and stepping into their future with confidence. For adults, it means finding balance, breaking free from stress, trauma, or anxiety, and living a life that feels whole. For couples, it means moving forward from conflict to connection. And for those who desire it, our faith-based approach takes the journey even deeper, bringing healing that touches both heart and spirit. This isn't just another service, this is a movement, a new way to heal, grow, and strive. This is Gabriella's Double Impact Solutions, where counseling and mentorship intertwine and where lives are transformed because we are mentoring minds, empowering lives.
Awesome. So yes, if you're at the stage where you need this help, just like how Shan has been speaking, if you think you need that assistance, pleasant good night to my mom, Benedict, always on the live as well. If you think that you need that assistance, you need really someone to really talk to, reach out. Gabriella's Double Impact Solutions, and we do blend counseling and mentorship. So yes, let's go back into our interview. So Shan, what when you talk about the reprogramming of your mind, what does that entail?
Yeah, well, first thing, our bodies are amazing and they're always looking to heal.
Yeah.
So they're always well, first off, your stress response is, like I said, a way to protect your body, to keep you safe. And so if you think of it like that, and it's not something that's designed to hurt you, we
Mm-hmm.
are just not caring for our bodies like God designed us to. We're not listening
Wow.
to them, and we're actually punishing them, and we're hurting them instead of taking care and love. I really love to point out, I should know the reference, but when Jesus said, "Love others as yourself," when he said that command, he was saying it in implying that you already love yourself. He wouldn't
Yeah.
be telling you to, you know, love your neighbor as you love your bed. Like, no, he's meaning like,
Yes.
you really love yourself, right? That's how I want you to love other people.
Yes.
But we don't even know how to love ourselves, so we're not able to really love others. And so
Mm.
it really comes down to, like, what does your body need? What does your heart need? What does your mind need? And then
Mm.
listen to it and take care of it. So, yeah, your body wants to heal, and it's not the enemy, and if we take care of it and love it and provide, not like the care like a bubble bath, but like we really care for it and listen to it, then it actually works for us, and it works longer for us. It works
Mm-hmm.
healthier in the long run. So we live longer, better, healthier lives if we just really look at our body as a vessel, and really look at it as, this is my form. This is my sacrificial act of worship, is to care for my body that God gave me. I only get one. I don't get to trade it in. So let me
Yeah.
just care for it and steward it like
Mm.
he's told me to, and like he's asked me to, because he gives us things, right? We always like think of financial things, but he gives us so much in just this one vessel. And
Hmm.
if we just stewarded that, that would be like a full-time job. Like, if we just focused on, how can I steward my mind, my body, my heart, my
Mm.
will, my emotions to God's glory, then we would be so busy doing that, then we wouldn't get busy in burnout.
Yes. Yes. Wow. So as a believer, I mean, now you speak in confidence. I'm sure during those moments you were just like, ooh, like trying to figure it out, trying to in the moment you were not that strong. For that person that is listening and really wanting to say, no, I want to be like Shan. I really want to come out of this anxiety, this burnout. I really want to have that faith. I want to be vulnerable. I want to be open and allow God to use me in this moment and to really use my body to do His will. What would be your encouragement for them, or your experience that you would have experienced going through that moment? Just saying, enough is enough. I am going to step back and allow God to do His thing.
Yeah, well, if you remember back to my story, I said that God gave me, I had a whole long laundry list of things that I was like, if I can get help with these, then I won't
Yes.
be anxious. And he
Yes.
said, I gave you 4 things. And it actually was my modern day Martha prayer. And I didn't even realize that till last year. And
Okay.
it's happened a long time ago. But because it was, Martha, Martha, you're worried and anxious about many things, but only a few things are needed, indeed only one. So that one most important thing is being with him, your creator, your savior, your God.
Yeah.
He is the one that heals. He's the healer. We, even as healthcare professionals we're not healers. We work
Mm.
through him. His Holy Spirit works through us and our hands and our feet. We are
Yes.
his. And so you go to him first. So we are spiritual beings in physical form, and
Yeah.
so that means that our first way that we're going to holistically heal is going to be tapping into that spiritual wellness. So we
Yes.
understand, there's many wellness areas to our body. We have, your emotional, mental, physical, social, intellectual, occupational, financial, all the things, spiritual. There's so many different areas, but the number one is that spiritual connection, that spiritual wellness. And so if you focus on that, literally the other ones will fall into place. So that's my
Mm.
very first thing I would say
Yes.
is, what's your prayer life look like? What does your food look like? Your daily bread? What does that actually look like? And I would just start with that. Like, start there, because that's rest. Prayer
Mm.
and reading the scripture is actually rest. And that's where your body heals, is in a form of rest. And rest is worship. So we want to get back and we want to do one thing to start our bodies on this holistic healing journey. We're
Yeah.
going to start with getting to rest. That's the order. You have to rest first in order to heal. So rest is prayer and reading the word, because that's your daily bread. And then from there, it's going to be, okay, now I'm going to honor my body. I'm going to worship with my body. I'm going to get the proper sleep. I'm going to move it physically, give it the exercise that it needs. I'm going to give it the water that it needs. I'm going to give it good food, the herbs and food from God, from the earth.
Yes.
So yeah, that's where I would start.
Awesome. And that's a lot that you said there. I love it. And you said spirituality first. Although you are well, your whole bodies, but you're saying the most important one is the spiritual, and then everything else will fall into alignments. Yes, and that's really powerful, because our identity, who we are, who we represent, is really starts with Christ. It starts with God being first, and once we put Him there, if we put Him there and we apply Him to our lives, then everything should. And we're not saying that all the issues will go, the challenges wouldn't come, because I sure Shan could say yes. Yes, I put God first, but there was still challenges in between. Yeah, but were there moments where you would have like went back into any of those states that you would have been prior? Or did you have that moment where you were able to just know, now recognize and be able to apply what you know and go forward?
Really just last summer. So this is the thing. Stress is part of life. And so we have, like I said, really good stress, and then there's bad stress. And a lot of times we're not in control of the bad stress. This is things that come in like trauma, tragedy, accidents, like things come at like nature, like storms. They literally come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and we have to be able to adapt to them. So last summer, we had a family tragedy, a family crisis, and it was very traumatic. So I was actually in a really good place. I'm coaching on burnout. So I'm in a really good place mentally,
Yes.
emotionally, spiritually. But this came in out of nowhere. So crisis hits. What am I going to do? Well, the things that I was already doing were good for my body,
Yeah.
but um again, you have to listen to your body. Your cells are holding the score. Your body is feeling these emotions. It felt the trauma. So now I don't just continue what I'm already doing. I actually have to go into a state of like trauma recovery and look at the trauma. What did this trauma do to my body? It didn't actually happen to me physically, but it happened to a close family member. So here I am having to really itself, like I felt selfish in a moment. I was like, wow, I'm like, this didn't even happen to me, but I had
Yes.
to honor my body and my mind and my heart and say it did happen to me. If I were to have ignored that and said, that's just too selfish, this wasn't like my trauma,
Hmm.
I would have stayed in a state of burnout much longer than I did.
Yes.
But I said, I need to take, and I had to verbalize this. I told my husband, I need to go take care of my body. I went on very long prayer walks. I did a lot of spiritual warfare, and it actually came to a point where perfectly I had this week away in the woods already planned. It was the summertime, so I
Wow.
actually got to go away into nature, and literally, I think that was the healing balm that just coated everything and put like the last soothing touch on this trauma, this trauma wound that I just experienced.
Yes.
And when I came back from there, I felt 100% better. I was like,
Wow.
that's what I needed. But we have to ask ourselves, what do I need when this big stressor comes in, when this
Yeah.
trauma comes in? What do I need? Yeah, I I have to recognize that the trauma affects me and not just that one person. You're always experiencing trauma, and that's a big thing with nurses and healthcare professionals. We're experiencing trauma every shift, and so it might feel selfish at the end of the shift to say, "Gosh, that person just lost their family member, and here I am crying in my car." And it's like, yeah, honor that person, by taking
Yes.
care of you, because you are still here. So take care of your emotions, take care of your heart, ask it what it needs in that moment. Because if you don't, then you're going to be a burnout nurse taking care of the next patient. And that's not good for anyone.
Yes, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
amazing that God was using you or preparing you for that moment, because with that trauma came that moment where you was already planning a trip, and that trip was exactly what God planned for you to overcome that season. You know, so God is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so next, can you put up the video, not the one that you have to the bottom, and the next video that Shan speaks about the opening of your hands and the closing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hope that he could get it. I really was intrigued by this video. So if he could put it up.
Lies right here. Your job, your kids, your relationship that takes all your energy, your shifts and the stress and the emotions that you're holding from your patients, your health and the way that your body is feeling inside, the bills, your to-do list that just keeps growing, your unmet needs, your unmet emotional needs, your spiritual wellness that can't be filled up. Now look, as you've named off all the things and you've rolled in your finger one by one, what do you see? This is what your nervous system looks like in chronic stress. This is what you look like in survival mode. This is what you're looking like, ready to fight at all times, because your body, your nervous system is in fight mode and it's ready to take on the next thing. But in this way, you can't receive. You can't receive rest. You can't receive joy. You can't receive energy. You can't receive peace. Now slowly open your hands. Now you can receive. You've let go, you've opened up, and you can only do that in a state of calm, in a state of rest, where your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. That's what we do when you work with me. It's also what we're going to do at the workshop with Lisa Carriere, April 29th, if you're local to the Carmel area. We are going to take your burnout and we're going to break through and we're going to reclaim and write a new story. We're not going to solve all your problems, but we are going to leave with an openness, with a posture to receive, and then you can take steps towards healing. Register at the link in the comments and we'll see you there.
Yes, we are always in the fighting mode, fight or flight. Yes, so tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that video. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that whole system that you would have implemented.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this whole concept a lot, about receiving, and how when literally you are in, they call it fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
The survival mode, when you are surviving, when your body feels like it's surviving and it's ready to attack the bear and, claim your food, and like back to that nature response,
Yeah.
it's fighting for its life. And in that, you can't receive, but yet we are called to always pour out. If we don't have anything we've received, then we're going to overflow. What are we going to overflow? What are we going to be pouring out? It's going to
Yes.
be stress. It's going to be more anger and irritation on others, and this conflict and this fight. We're going to be constantly butting heads with other people because that's all that's inside. We're in fight mode. But
Yes.
if we receive goodness from others, and caregivers have a hard time with this. They have a hard time receiving even a meal, or a hug, or like a how are you? Like, no, how are you really? Like, caregivers have a hard time receiving because they're so used to giving.
Giving, yeah.
And if they could just receive, we actually can care better out of the overflow. And that's that the cup half empty. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's the whole
Yes.
cliche. But it's like, I really wanted to explain it in a different way because
Yeah.
I feel like that's played out. And just to really understand it, when you can't pour out something you don't have. And in order to have it, you have to receive it. And in order
Yes.
to receive it, you have to be in this posture of, okay, I'm open, I'm going to receive. But if we have everything clinched and we're ready to go and we're constantly on edge, like, those people, and that when you're in that state, like, you're just on edge, you're ready to go all the time.
Yeah.
you can't receive good things from others. I was having a hard time receiving compliments. And that's another sign. Like if you notice that, like if you notice you have a hard time giving compliments or receiving them, it's because you are in a fight mode. You're in a survival mode. You don't
Yes.
think of others when you're surviving for your own life. So that's another little sign.
So someone who is struggling in this mood here, where they want to hold on, but yet they want to let go. They want all these stress, all these burdens to go, to be away from their life, so they could live in peace. They could have that sense of calm, but yet they're always here. This is like their comfort zone,
Oh yeah.
and they may say that it's not that easy to just let go. What would you tell them at that moment? What would be that first step that they need to take to say, you know what, I need to release. I can't open and release myself.
Back to something I said a while ago.
Yeah.
Pride comes before the fall, and this is prideful, and this is
Wow.
control. And when we're in control and we think, I'm going to do it, I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to win, and I'm just going to keep going until I do win, until I survive, that is, you're saying it's all on me. I'm controlling the situation here.
Yes.
And so it's an act of surrender. And no one said surrender was easy. Surrender is really hard. But again, it comes back to if we're going to say, I've got the control and I've got the pride that goes along with it, and I'm in this survival mode all the time, which underlying all that is fear, then where's perfect love? Perfect love casts out all fear. And so if we want to receive perfect love, then we've got to let go of that fear and that control and that pride and receive what God is trying to give us.
Yes.
And so I think it comes back to my first step that I said, you want to let go of survival mode and you want to receive some goodness and you want to have some calm and peace in your life. Get on your knees, get in the word.
Yes.
I do have, because this is a very visceral, physiological thing that's happening, right? It's not just mental. It's not just, okay, let me pray about it. It's really your body. Like I literally felt sometimes like my skin was crawling. Like I would feel like if someone touched me one more time, I might just swing my hand like out of reflex. Like
Yes.
I felt like that's the only way I can describe it. And in that, you're like, if someone were to tell me just pray about it, I would be like, okay, I don't know. So I actually have what I call the STAT protocol, and it's going to be your STAT emergency intervention that can help you calm your nervous system in 5 minutes or less, to then be at a posture where you can receive and you can surrender just a little bit. You can let your guard down a little bit. You can loosen up your fists, and it really walks you through how to do this, but it walks you through, again, that root of burnout, which is identity. So you're going to see your identity. Then you're going to take a breath, which you did in the beginning of this. We're going to learn a breath prayer, a real quick thing that you can breathe and you can pray out in the moment. A lot of ones that I used in times of burnout and anxiety and perfectionism was more of you and less of me. Okay. Just more of you, God, less of me.
Wow. Yeah.
Inhale it and then exhale it. And then we're going to acknowledge our thoughts. We're going to acknowledge the lie that we're believing that is keeping us like this, which is like, I have to do it all myself, or if it's going to be done right, it's going to be done by me, or this is just a busy season and I'm going to get through this in, a few years, or, there's so many. Healthcare is busy. That's the one that I talk about all the time. Healthcare is just busy. It's stressful. All these lies that, we take on, they are ingrained in our thoughts. And I think you asked me this earlier. I never really did it, but the way that you reprogram your brain is so amazing, because our brains are amazing, and it's simple. It really is telling your brain the truth, because our brain is wired for these lies are set in our brain from when we were very little. And so you have to acknowledge them. You have to say, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to you have to think about what you're thinking about. What is my brain thinking about that's landing me in this place And you have to say, okay, is that true? And you have to acknowledge that it's not true.
Yes.
You have to know the truth in order to say that.
Yes.
And then you have to speak the truth out loud because your brain is thinking something else. You can't tell it to think something different. But if you speak the truth out loud enough times, over time, scientifically, physiologically, it will rewire the neuron pathways in your brain for truth. And so that's part that we do. And then we go into gratitude and Thanksgiving because gratitude is the biggest antidote for anxiety. You can't think you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time in your brain. And
Yes.
so then we focus on gratitude. And so all of that takes 5 minutes or less. And that's a way you can just emergently reset your nervous system. And then you can pray. Then you can read your word. And
Yes.
then you can get filled up with
That's so
actual truth.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. And that's a realistic approach because a lot of time we start with being in that state and trying to pray, but at that state we need to get to that state of calm. So that's something I have learned to be. So let's take another break and we're going to talk about our Bible community trivia. Oh my gosh, it was difficult doing this one, but you're gonna tell the hint for today is abundant or beyond our finite mind. It is taken from somewhere in the Bible, in the New Testament. So you all have to tell me what book, chapter, and verse this hint is coming from. The another clue is Paul wrote this grand statement while he was in prison. So our clue is abundant beyond our finite mind. Which verse in the Bible is this speaking about? So yeah, while you all think about that, let's go back to Shanna. Shan. So Dex, you can play that next video for us. We have just about 8 minutes to go.
That Christine Bond Davies and I talked about on the podcast this week is that when we are dealing with a lot of loss and grief, which comes both like grief and loss come all day continually because change is continuous. We're always dealing with change, especially when we're at work as a nurse or at home with kids, like change is coming all the time. So we're dealing with this grief. She said, what to do with that is to double down on the joy. So I have been curious. Do you have a joy list? Do you have a list of things that bring you joy? That when you're in a moment of grief and loss, you can just go and look at your list. What can I double down on right now, this week, this day, today? Do you have a list just on your phone?
Wow. Do you have a joy list? And it's like it's almost as if you're saying like, okay, I'm going through this, look for something positive at the moment, which again, not easy to do. But it shifts our mind and our focus, which is really, really important. Yeah. So as we are coming down to the ending of the program, Shan, can you tell us what does the future look like for what you do in terms of this holistic wellness? And is there anything that we should expect coming from you?
Yeah. Okay. So I actually have a podcast called Beat Nurse Burnout. And there we focus on faith-based practices to holistically care for you. And so this is for the nurse to help her realize, I got to care for me. I got to love me in order to
Yeah.
love others and care for others. So there's my podcast. I also have a group coaching program called
Mm-hmm.
Steady. And so it's based off of my care method, which is, again, those 4 things God gave me to do to get into my holistic healing journey. It's based off of that, the blueprint God gave me. And it's called Steady because of that verse from Exodus 17:12, where Moses was having to hold up the rod for the battle to be won. And Aaron and Hur came up and held up his hands because he couldn't do it alone. He couldn't hold it up by himself. And it says, and then he was steady until the sun set. And so together, we actually can recover from burnout so much faster and better when we do it together. And so this community is where you get to open up, you get to be vulnerable, you get to be honest with really what's going on in your thought and your heart, your thoughts and your heart, and how to do it and how to stay consistent and accountable to each other. And so it's just better to do it together. So it's called Steady. It's my burnout recovery plan for nurses and high achievers. and that is open and ready at any point.
Yes.
And yeah, I always like to put on some online workshops and things, so you can just follow me over at Instagram and you can find those out.
Yes. All right, next, let's put up. Woo, Mom is on a roll. This is her third week, and she has figured out, I guess, like my clues was too easy. All right, so God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. But where is that coming from? What book? What this? What? Shan, you're looking like you want to say the answer.
I think you know the answer.
Which book? Oh, all right.
Yes, you
She
got it
figured
right.
it out. Okay, Ephesians 3:20. All right. Yes, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. And yes, I wanted to put that here today because of the topic, right, of burnout, not just for caregivers, nurses, moms, whoever may be listening on this program tonight. Just know that that situation that you are facing, if it is burnout, anxiety, depression, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. Just give it to Him. Surrender yourself. We have been talking about it throughout the program. You just need to take this position and release it. Release it to God and let Him be the one to really take control, because He has not given us that spirit of fear. He doesn't want us to be burdened. He wants us to really depend on Him through these moments. So, yes, in our finite mind, we might say, yeah, I can do it. I want to do it. But we realize and we come to that realization that, hey, we need to really give it up to God. We really need to surrender. So I really hope that that scripture really comes into alignment with your life and you realize that God is more than able. So, Shan, this is our final moment here. You have a mic right now. And if you were to have another mic that you can voice this encouragement that you want to share with the world, the entire world is listening to you now. What would you want them to hear?
Wow. Okay. No. Um, that burnout, anxiety, depression, it's not failure. It's actually your nervous system and your body screaming out that it needs help,
Yes.
and to listen to it. And your body, like we talked about, it's a vessel for your calling. God gave you this one body and mind and heart to use it to bring Him glory. So let's honor it. Let's worship Him with it. And you don't have to stay stuck in in any state of anxiety, depression, or burnout. You can reach out for help, because that it takes humility. And remember, that's the it comes before the fall. Like I can before the fall. So let's go and humility. Ask for help, reach out, and let's just heal. Because in your healing state, in that holistic healing, when you find your true identity, that is living in this freedom and this peace and this excitement for the purpose God has for you, because you were made as a masterpiece for a great purpose.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, folks, don't go yet. Shan, we will be speaking to you in the background afterwards. So hold on for a few minutes. Yes, and we'll just share a little. So, folks, I just want to just recap what today was really about. It was really about helping you all to overcome burnout. And yes, Shan, she comes from a nursing background, but this could be applied to anyone who is experiencing this, whether you be a parent, a mother, a father, a sibling, whatever, whoever you may be, just know that burnout is something that Shan went through and is going through. Yeah, she would go through it from time to time because life happens, right? But being able to know and be aware of what may be your triggers, what may be those things that are coming to you that are causing you to see the signs in your body, in your mind. You get the signs. Don't ignore it. Don't say, well, yeah, I didn't really see the signs, but yeah, your body gives you that sign. Yeah, so pay attention to that. And most importantly, pay attention to your identity, which is in Christ. Once you are able to really understand who you are and that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that God created you for excellence, He created you as the masterpiece, as Shan just said, He is able to help you through those moments. So, folks, I just want to say, as we close, I just want to thank Shan for coming tonight and gracing us with her knowledge and with her wisdom and with her great testimony. I thank you, Shannon. And folks, just remember, whatever you do, continue to break out of depression. Until next time, see you then. I'm your host. Bye.
This is my breakout moment.
Better days are
Before me,
no more chains, I'm finally free.
stepping into victory. We're breaking out, we're breaking through.
This is our
Finest hour.
breaking out of depression.
Listen to and viewed worldwide.
On Living by the Word with Andy Charles and Gabriella Woods.
Every Tuesday at